everyone, welcome to the Concept Booster series. In today's video, we are going to learn with 7 important rules that is very important for you to understand if you want to make use of nouns appropriately. Now guys, understand, for those of you who are following these Concept Booster series, we had a video where we discussed nouns and the concept per se. So when you talk about nouns as a category of parts of speech, there are certain things that you should know. So if you know the basics, if you have watched that particular video, I'm sure you would have understood what exactly are the things that you should be knowing in order to understand the concept of noun. Today, however, what we are going to do is we are going to look into 7 very important rules which will help you to understand as to how these nouns are supposed to be used, and they are supposed to be used in a correct manner. Remember one thing, in your grammar questions, you would have questions like spotting the error questions or the correct sentences or the incorrect sentences. In order to answer such questions, it is important for you to know how the noun per se as a concept or a category is supposed to be used, and this is exactly what we are going to learn in today's video. So let us get started with the first rule. First, very important, because this again is a fundamental topic when it comes down to Ipmat preparation for grammar. So subject verb agreement is extremely crucial. Let's look at what is the rule with respect to nouns. So when you talk about subject verb agreement with respect to the nouns, understand one thing: a singular noun takes a singular verb, a plural noun takes a plural verb. Just remember one thing, guys, we have done that video as well, so you can go to the playlist and figure out subject verb agreement video there. The point is, when you talk about subject verb agreement, one category that is automatically used in the entire concept is basically nouns. So when you talk about nouns per se, understand, if you have got a singular noun, you will have to make use of a singular verb, and in case you have got a plural noun, you will have to use a plural verb. So what I tell students is, just remember this way: when you say the committee have decided, now if you look at this word which is committee, committee is treated as singular because it refers to the group of members. So because it is treated as singular, right, you cannot make use of have, because have is something that indicates plural. So the correct version of having it is here is, you say the committee has decided when treated as a single unit. So just remember one thing: in case you are able to identify subject verb agreement error, just make it sure that if your subject or the noun or the pronoun for that matter, if it is singular, you choose a singular verb, and if it is plural, you choose a plural verb. So this is singular, this has to be singular. Because it says have, this should be changed into had. Always remember, when you talk about collective nouns, we also covered the idea of collective nouns in the previous video where we are discussing nouns. For those of you who are struggling with the basic concepts of noun, just make it sure that you also watch that video where we discussed nouns as a concept, right? So do follow that. Now when you talk about collective nouns, remember, like jury, team and audience can be singular or plural depending on the sense. So when you talk about these nouns or the collective nouns for that matter, just understand the questions or the concepts that you have over there, or the subject that you have here, which is more precisely in a case that, just understand, if you have got a collective noun, remember, it can be singular also, it can be plural also. It depends on how the context is made use of. We will be discussing this in detail when we'll be having the pronoun concept in the concept booster series, but for now just understand the fundamental principle, which is a singular noun will take a singular verb and a plural noun will take a plural verb. So just remember this example and I'm sure you are good to go. Let's go to the second one: countable versus uncountable noun. So I covered this concept in my previous video. Please do watch it. Countable and uncountable noun have a reference in terms of how they are supposed to be used. So countable nouns can be pluralized. For example, you simply say book and books, while uncountable nouns cannot be. So you cannot pluralize the uncountable noun. So let's say if you have got furniture as the word, then you cannot make use of furnitures because there is uncountable noun. So remember, countable is different and uncountable is different. Something that you can count may take S or ES. Something that cannot be counted would not take it. So use much, little with uncountable noun, many, few with countable. So just remember, if you're talking about uncountable, you can make use of much and little. And if you're talking with respect to the countable, then you can make use of many and few. The distinction between countable and uncountable has to be clear. So when you identify a noun, just make it sure that you are also identifying whether it is countable or it is uncountable. For example, if you look at this sentence, it says, she gave many information. So information is again a noun that is treated as uncountable. So you cannot make a plural by adding s. The correct version would be, you simply say, she gave me much information. So remember the difference between countable and uncountable. Then you have a very important concept coming here, which is possessive case. Now, where do we use the possessive case? When you want to show that something belongs to somebody, that is where we make use of possessive case. Use apostrophe s for singular nouns, the child's toy, and s apostrophe for plural nouns ending in the teacher's noun. So when you have a noun that does not end with s, you simply make use of apostrophe plus s, and for those who actually end with s, you simply put an apostrophe. I'm sure you would have learned this rule back in your school. It is just that now you have to recall that and see to your questions whether you can apply a similar rule in a question therefore. So avoid possessive forms with inanimate objects in formal writing. Just remember, if the noun is something that does not end in s, so you put apostrophe s there, and for something that ends in s, you simply put apostrophe. So you say toy and toys, right? So this is the difference here. Now incorrect, for example, when you say the table's legs were broken. Now understand here one thing, that table is an inanimate object, and with inanimate we do not make use of possessive apostrophe. So you cannot say table's legs. This has to be changed into by saying the legs of the table were broken. So remember, when you are forming a possessive case, when you want to show that something belongs to somebody, you do not make use of apostrophe s with a noun that is inanimate by its nature or something that is non-living by its nature. So remember, this is very crucial, guys, because there have been cases in the competitive examinations where the same concept was asked in a question and not many people can actually answer that. I always tell students that when you talk about grammar questions per se, most of the time it is the application of rules that will help you to arrive at a right answer. Sometimes it is also about the usage. So the use of English language, that is standard English, how do we use it correctly and incorrectly, that also has to be understood. Now, fourth one, this is again crucial, noun and pronoun agreement. Pronoun is simply a word that is used in place of a noun. So we covered pronouns as well in our concept booster series. So do watch that video. Now, a noun and the pronoun replacing it must match in number and gender. So when you use a pronoun in place of a noun, just remember one thing, it should match in number, that is singular and plural, and also the gender, which is masculine gender or the feminine gender. For example, each student must submit their assignment. So you have a noun here which is student and this is preceded by each. You cannot make use of a plural pronoun. So this is problematic here because this sentence is preceded by each, which makes the sentence or the noun singular. So you say each student must submit his or her assignment, because student is a noun which can be a male also, or can be a female also. So when the gender is not known, we have to make it explicit. So you simply say each student must submit his or her assignment. Now remember one thing, guys, you also have studied subject verb agreement, and it tells you that if your sentence starts with a each or every or each one, everyone, someone, somebody, no one, nobody, just remember one thing, that we make use of singular. So this there, which is plural pronoun, should be changed into his or her, which is singular. So because we don't know the gender, we can make use of his also and her also in the same sentence. So this is the correction. Just remember this noun and pronoun agreement, which is again crucial. Next, let us go to the fifth one, which is singular use after certain expressions. So after certain expressions, we make use of a singular. So words like each, every, either, neither, one of, much of, take singular noun. So you just have to understand these words. And I'm sure for those of you who have watched the subject verb agreement video, you would also understand that there are certain rules that you are supposed to follow when it comes down to subject verb agreement. If you have those fundamentals in place, if you have that basics in place, I'm sure dealing with these questions of nouns would not be a trouble task. So incorrect, each student was given a copy. Look at this, it says each. So the noun has to be singular. So you say each student was given a copy. So you cannot say each students, right? So these make your sentence singular, and that is why you have to make use of a singular noun here, which is student. Now, again, sixth is an important task because when you talk about these competitive examination, there have been questions on these concepts. So, avoid double plurals and misformed plurals. So, you have to avoid double plurals and something which is a misformed plural. Some nouns already appear plural. So, there are certain nouns which are automatically plural. For example, you have data, and criteria. Just quote an example here. These words are automatically plural. So you cannot make double plurals or you cannot make misformed plurals, but are often wrongly pluralized. So it is incorrect to say datas are misleading, right? You cannot make a plural of data as datas because data by itself is plural and the singular form is datum. So what you say is data are misleading. So don't be confused. Just know these things that datum is singular, data is plural. So you don't add an S to data by making it a plural form here, and then you know how to handle with it. So same goes with media and criteria. Similarly, it goes with phenomena and phenomenon. So there are some irregular nouns that you should be blessed with in terms of how do you answer the questions. Let's look at one more rule, which is consistent use of abstract and material noun. For those of you who are wondering what exactly is a abstract noun, what exactly is a material noun, please do watch the video where we discuss the concept of nouns in details, right? Today we are only looking at the rules which are important for the correct usage of nouns. Now, abstract nouns, which is mostly emotions and feeling or something that you cannot perceive through your senses. Honesty, beauty, and material nouns like gold, silver, water are generally uncountable and not to be used with articles which is a or an. So she has a good honesty. So you have an abstract noun here which is honesty, and because it is treated as uncountable, you cannot make use of a. All right. So what is the correction would be she has honesty, or you simply say she is an honest person. Guys, remember one thing, when you are dealing with grammar question, there are two things you should always keep in mind. First is that for some questions to answer, you will have to pay attention to which rule is being applied into that question. And sometimes for such questions to answer, you have to pay attention to what exactly is the usage of nouns with respect to the questions. So grammar becomes a broader topic here where your rules are equally important in terms of the usage as well. So when you talk about the correct usage of nouns, just remember these 7 rules that I have outlined. These are clear to you. You can do your research, you can practice your questions, and that will make it clear that you are able to answer those questions equally well. Now, mastering these 7 rules. Guys, I have listed out 7 important rules for the correct usage of nouns. When you are watching this video, please pause it, register the information, try to understand what rule has been explained over here so that you understand with clarity as to how these nouns are supposed to be used. Now, mastering these 7 rules helps in writing formally precise, grammatically correct and exam ready sentences, because you have no clue as to when you talk about grammar questions in IPMAT, what format would be of the question. So they can follow the previous formats that have been asked in the various BBA entrance examinations, or they may modify a particular question and the direction. They might give you a new variety of question. Irrespective of what the pattern of the question is, I always tell students, just remember one thing, your rules do not change. So it's not that there is a different set of rules for a different type of a question. It is just that the rules do not change if you know how these parts of speech, because when you talk about grammar for IPMAT, it's not that you get advanced topics of grammar. We basically limit ourselves to parts of speech starting with noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction. Interjection does not give you a question at all. So that's not the point of worry, but just understand that you know the parts of speech. And if you are somebody who is still clueless in terms of what parts of speech is, please follow the playlist that we have for the Concept Booster series. And I'm sure with every part of speech, you would have a better clarity as to how to answer that question. Right, so these 7 rules have to be understood, guys. Just make it sure that ये जो 7 rules हमने discuss किए हैं वो आप follow कर रहे हो, आप उसको समझ रहे हो. तो अगर आपको कहीं पे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, please pause the video, look at the example, because I tell students that when you're talking about solving grammar questions, if you have got your concepts in place, it becomes easier for you to apply those rules in the questions. Also remember, theoretical knowledge is one thing, but the application of rules into question, that is execution, is simply another. So there are many students who do know the rule, but they don't know how to execute those rules into the questions that is getting asked in these competitive examinations. So make sure that you follow the entire video. If you are not clear with your basics, please do watch the basic videos as well. We have covered all the parts of speech starting from noun and ending it up to conjunctions. We have not discussed the rules per se. So this rule series would be now taken. So in the next series, we would be having 7 important rules for the correct usage of pronouns. So this is how we are actually going into streamlining and simplifying the knowledge of rules for you. Please follow these series, pause it, watch it, revise it, and I'm sure you're good to go. So that's all I have for you today. Make sure that you know these 7 rules and you also know how to apply those rules into the question. So theoretical knowledge without practice question does not have much of an impact. So make sure that you know the theory as well, plus you know how to execute those rules into the practice question. So that's all from my side for today. Please do watch the previous videos, make your concepts clear, and I think you would be good to go for your IPMAT preparation 26. Wish you all the best and have a good day.